Hey, it's Jeff Cannata coming at you with another newest, latest, best mini episode. This time talking about one of my favorite television shows, Justified. I just recently caught up off my DVR that was jam-packed with episodes. Caught up with the fifth season, the most recent season on FX. Oh man, so much fun to watch. If you aren't watching this show, you are really missing out. I do not understand why Justified isn't in that list of shows that everyone rattles off when they talk about the best stuff that's on television right now. It deserves to be in that list. It has been solid every single season. Now, this fifth season, I have to admit, doesn't stand up there with the likes of the second season of Justified, for example, which is truly one of the greatest seasons of TV ever. But I think this is the calm before the storm. I think this is a beautiful setup for what we're really excited about, which is going to be that sixth and final season where we're truly going to get Raylan Givens versus Boyd Crowder for all the marbles. And that is just too delicious. And this is wonderfully set up with all these characters that we've grown to know so well coming back into the fray and leading up to this penultimate season. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will talk a little bit more in detail about what I like and don't like. Now, first of all, if you don't know about Justified, it is a modern-day Western. It's a U.S. Marshal in Kentucky, and he is a badass. Probably the biggest badass on television. This is Timothy Oliphant plays... There's no character on television that I want to be more than Raylan Givens, man, despite having a terrible family. He is a badass, man. He's got these choice lines. The writing in this show is so lightning, crackling, whip smart. It is great. You have these great Elmore Leonard-esque turns of phrase. There's one scene in an earlier season where Raylan Givens takes a bullet in his hand and just tosses it at this guy's chest, and he goes, "The next one's going to come at you a lot quicker." Oh man, come on. And there's stuff like that in every single episode. There's these wonderful, like, oh, I wish I was as clever as these guys to be able to say cool stuff all the time like that. So it's got this sort of stylized Western, but played in a modern day environment that's really believable and really fun. And it truly is about two sides of the same coin. Raylan Givens, and played by Timothy Oliphant, who came from this horrible background but chose the light side. He's chaotic good. And then you've got the other side of that coin, Boyd Crowder, played by the incomparable Waltin Goggins. Man, talk about an actor who has struck gold twice in a row. This is The Shield, greatest show ever. And then he goes and does Justified and creates two of the most incredible, awesome characters in the history of television on two of the best series in the history of television, The Shield and then Justified. Boyd Crowder, of course, is that same thing. Childhood friends with Raylan Givens, grew up and then turned to the dark side. But he's chaotic evil, right? He's got a little bit of, he can help the good guys sometime. He's only out for himself. Wonderful stuff. So in this season, we have a really cool setup because we've got the Crows, who have been a family that have been sort of on the periphery of things throughout the 5 seasons of Justified. Now we get to find out a little bit more about their craziness. Dewey Crow is really one of the great characters on this show. There's no character more wonderfully idiotic and stupid, but just kind of trying so hard to be hard, trying so hard to be a badass, but just bumbling his way through everything. The actor... what's his name? I have it here written down. I want to shout out. He's Australian, which blew me away because I couldn't believe Damon Harriman plays Dewey Crow with such an earnestness, and you almost love the guy for how inept he is. And now we get to see his family, and I think that Justified is one of the best cast shows on television. And if I could give an award for casting, I would give it to Justified. Every single season, there's wonderful casting choices. Margot Martindale in the second season. Here we have Michael Rappaport playing a role that is completely unlike anything I've seen him do. They constantly put comedic actors into roles that aren't comedic per se. Patton Oswalt was on last season. They have a Dave Foley on this season, who's like this Canadian mafioso. brilliant casting choices. Every character is so interesting and unique and believable, and it's this world that you invest in. Now, there were some things that I didn't like about this season. Ava Crowder going to jail. A lot of people on Twitter have been saying, I didn't really want that, Orange is the New Black subplot. I get it, but I think this is all just mechanisms to get us to Boyd versus Raylan in that 6th season, and I was along for that ride, and I really like the Ava character, how she's sort of split between all those men in that world. So I was along for the ride, and there was so much other fun stuff happening. The conflict between Raylan and his boss, which has always been such an interesting dynamic between those two. Just great scenes all along. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I loved the wonderful cliffhanger that we led up to get to next season. And I am in this show. I don't understand why more people don't talk about it. It belongs in that conversation with Game of Thrones, with Breaking Bad, with all the great shows that people are like, oh, you have to watch this, you have to watch this, you have to watch this. I think Justified is right there, and man, totally dig the show. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you subscribe and like, and I will be coming at you with more NLB Minis in the coming weeks.